Hello, and welcome to Old Toy, New Joy, the show where I share with you my previously enjoyed toys I purchased from online sources, thrift stores, and collectors' shows that once belonged to someone else. I have already dedicated 2 episodes of Old Toy, New Joy to the trading cards of black baseball players who helped integrate the Pacific Coast League in the late 1940s and early 1950s. But I've decided to do it yet again because I have made some very special additions to my collection. With its sets from 1952 and 1953, Mother's Cookies produced 8 cards featuring black baseball players from the Pacific Coast League. I am now proud to say that I have all 8 and would love to show them to you today. I've also added 4 more aldana creations, which can be considered sort of an extension of those original Mother's Cookies cards, as they highly resemble the 1950s sets and also feature players from that important era. I now have 10 of those cards. If you would like to know some history of the Pacific Coast League, including the various teams and players' bios, please visit my past episodes, which give a nice intro and background information. What I will tell you now is that the Pacific Coast League was an open class minor league, meaning that major league teams could draft players from it. This allowed players such as Minnie Mignoso, Bob Boyd, Bob Thurman, Tom Alston, Artie Wilson, and others to make the leap to the big leagues. Before that, these players made careers for themselves, playing in the Negro leagues, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican. Many were legends there and played out their 20s and 30s before even stepping foot on a major league field. Some played in the major leagues as 40-year-old rookies. Some played in the major leagues for over 10 years. And others lasted only a few games. At least they finally had the chance they deserved. Now let's take a look at these beautiful cards. So here are 2 beautiful Mother's Cookies cards of pitcher Roy Welmaker. On the left is his 1952 Mother's Cookies card when he was playing with the Hollywood Stars, and on the right, his 1953 Mother's Cookies card when he was playing with the Portland Beavers. Roy never played in the majors, but he did sign with Cleveland in 1949, so he came close. All of my Mother's Cookies cards are purchased on eBay, and the 1952 in particular can be quite expensive. I lucked out and got a pretty good deal. It was the last card I purchased in my set. I actually never thought I would get it. It always seemed to be out of reach, too expensive. I believe after Chuck Connors, the Roy Welmaker is the most valuable card in the set and the hardest to obtain. And here are the backs of the cards. On the left is the 51 Mother's Cookies. On the right is the 52. Sort of similar. Get a little more breakdown of stats in the 52. I'll also mention that Mother's Cookies were not the only card producers in the early 50s for Pacific Coast League baseball players. Hagues Dairy, which can be quite expensive, but I'm starting to think about maybe collecting some of those, and Remar Bread are 2 other companies which made cards of black baseball players who helped integrate the Pacific Coast League. So if I start getting into that, you'll see videos about those. Here we have on the left a 1952 Mother's Cookies card of one of my favorite players, Bob Thurman, and Carl Aldana also created a Bob Thurman card in his set. You can see they're very similar. And Bob was able to play a few years in the major leagues, and so there are some mainline cards, Topps cards of him in the 1950s. Here's Bob Thurman's rookie card, a 1957 Topps. And I had wanted Bob Thurman's Mother's Cookies card for quite some time. And I came really close a few times, but was outbid. because again, I was only finding these on eBay. Then I was successful about a year and a half ago and purchased one, but unfortunately it was stolen out of the envelope en route to me. And then I just purchased this one a couple months ago, right before the Roy Welmaker. And he wasn't cheap, but I got a pretty good deal, and he's in amazing condition. Most often I buy just the card, not the grade. This time I paid for the grade, but it can be considered an investment piece. And here we have the back of the 52 Mother's Cookies and the back of the Carl Aldana, which I'm trying to remember, it was either from 2019 or 2018. First print run, 50 cards. I don't believe anyone has printed any more of the Carl Aldana cards. So these could become quite scarce and collectible as well. But right now they're quite inexpensive, again, on eBay. And here we have a 1952 Mother's Cookies card of Artie Wilson of the Seattle Rainiers, and a Carl Aldana card of Maury Wills, also the Seattle Rainiers. Artie Wilson was actually one of the pioneers of the Pacific Coast League. Maury Wills came along a little bit later. Artie did get signed briefly and played in the major leagues. He lasted a few games and did not fare so well. Maury had a pretty good career later in the 1960s. And Remar Bread made some cards of Artie Wilson, and I believe there's a Hagues Dairy card from 1950 of him too. That would be rather expensive, I imagine, but I'll see what I can do. And here's my 1969 Topps card of Maury Wills. I think that's my only major league card of him right now. Here we have a 1953 Mother's Cookies card on the left of Piper Davis, and a Carl Aldana card of Piper Davis on the right. The Mother's Cookies card is when he was playing with the Oakland Oaks, and on the right with the Los Angeles Angels. And here are the backs of the cards. Again, stats for the Mother's Cookies cards. The Carl Aldana cards don't have stats. They're advertisements, usually. I think they're advertisements that you would have found maybe within the scorecards or the programs or on site at the stadiums. And it looks like there's also some sort of a checklist, because we see other Los Angeles Angels players mentioned. Right under Piper Davis's name, it says Buzz Clarkson. Speaking of Buzz Clarkson, his Carl Aldana card is on the right, and a 1952 Mother's Cookies card of Gene Baker on the left. Gene's got Scotch tape all over him, and for quite a while there weren't too many Gene Baker cards on eBay. And the price was right, so I just picked up the card, because again, I wanted the card, not so much the grade. Now there's some nicer examples, but I guess it made more sense to save money for those cards, such as the 52 Roy Welmaker and Bob Thurman, that I knew were going to cost more, just to get them in any condition. So sometimes you just have to purchase smart if you want to get a whole set. And I'm not sure exactly how much Buzz played, but he did sign briefly with the Boston Braves, and I think he was on their roster back in '52 with George Crowe. Here's a Bob Lemke creation of what a 52 Topps would look like with Buzz Clarkson. Beautiful. And Gene Baker did have a decent major league career. Here's his 55 Bowman rookie card. You'll notice he's got a big bandage above his right eye, which I always thought was kind of funny that they would, I guess the only time they could take the picture, maybe he wanted it, I don't know. Here we have on the left a 53 Mother's Cookies of San Diego Padres Tom Alston, and on the right a Carl Aldana Alonzo Perry when he was with the Oakland Oaks. Like Gene Baker, Tom Alston's rookie card is a 55 Bowman. However, this would be his only Major League Baseball card. He did not have a long career in the majors. And Alonzo never played in the majors, but I do have this beautiful 1949 Remar bread card of his time in the Pacific Coast League. Here are two Carl Aldana cards of Johnny Ritchey and Luke Easter. Johnny Ritchey is often referred to as the Jackie Robinson of the Pacific Coast League because he integrated that league in 1948. And Luke Easter joined him the following year. They played together briefly on the Padres. I believe there's at least one Hagues Dairy card out there for Johnny Ritchey, which I'm sure is quite expensive. Luke Easter was lucky enough to have a few major league cards because he played in the majors up until 1953. And here is his 1952 Topps. On the left, we have a Carl Aldana card of Booker McDaniels. Booker never played in the majors. And on the right is a 1952 Mother's Cookies of Frankie Alston. Frankie never played in the majors, but along with Louis Marquez, he signed with New York in 1949. And here we have two Carl Aldana cards, one of Yohosi Hurd and the other of Al Fuzzy Smith. Both did play in the majors. Yohosi only for a couple of games in 1953. And Al Smith had a 12-year career, also starting in 1953. And so their rookie cards, Yohosi Hurd's only card, are both from 1954, being Topps. So thank you very much for tuning in today to Old Toy New Joy and allowing me to share my cards of the first black players who integrated the Pacific Coast League. If you liked the video, please like the video and we will keep them coming. In the meantime, I encourage you to visit and subscribe to Old Toy New Joy. You will get caught up and also get alerts on over 130 videos featuring such things as Masters of the Universe, Redline Hot Wheels, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Star Wars, Star Trek, Superpowers, wrestling figures, the Lone Ranger, Pogs, baseball cards, hockey cards, Matchbox, Barbie, lunchboxes, Ghostbusters, marbles, and much, much more. Until next time, this is your Toy Whisperer saying farewell from Old Toy, New Joy.